Blastpop here, doing a second video on the new game that I just recently acquired, and that is Skies Above the Reich. Now, what was interesting here is this game turned out quite differently than I expected. Doing my second mission, I chose four new pilots because the mission allowed me up to 4 points to spend. So I chose Bauer, Johann, Heller, and Grimm. And they are right on this chart here. Now, what ended up happening was I ended up getting a small group of enemy Spitfires, 5 counters worth, and they were on the map from turns 1 to 3 out of a 6-turn flight limit. Now, this scenario, when I rolled it up, called for Formation A. I made my approach and finally got into a position where this is what the map looked like. Now, what happened was Johann, being undamaged from flak and such, was able to decided to go in determined, and I chose this guy determined because he had lesser damage and he had more damage, so I figured, well, he'll be evasive. So what ended up happening was I pulled a chit and for a possible collision, and it was a 3. It ain't too bad. I have a 30% chance of a collision, or less than that, because it's half odd if you roll that number or less. So on a 10-sided die, if I rolled a 3 or less, there was a collision. Well, I rolled a 2. Then I rolled a second die, and if I rolled an odd number, there would be a collision. Well, guess what? Johann collided into the evasive Bauer, and they both wiped out. Now, if both of them were here but evasive, the collision wouldn't have occurred. So I lost 2 fighters there. Then I did this attack, coming in on this fighter, which was already previously damaged. And the damage from these guys were either pre-existing or from flak. Launched this attack, and it was a fail. In this attack, it was a fail. I picked up more damage. They both, one had to go into the fate box, and the fate box, one of the ME-109s landed. The other one was fine because he rolled during the refit phase and found out that his number that he rolled was higher, so it was removed. And ultimately, this mission only inflicted light damage on the enemy bombers. I lost 2 fighters and had 2 fighters that were damaged. But, you know, I've ran into enemy fighters in this, or escorts in this scenario, and I figured, well, you know, that might have some consequences. As it turned out, I was my own worst enemy by pushing these guys too hard. I'm not sure where the balance is in this game in terms of how much you should push your fighters or not. But if you're going to be going in to get the advantage of having 2 fighters attack, which is the rot, you probably don't want to have one or both determined. You want to be a little more relaxed so that they make room for each other in their passes. Well, I learned the hard way. So I'm glad I'm playing just a 6-turn season in this game, because I think that the season is not going to be a good result. So challenging game, even during the times where the Germans are superior. It's still a very challenging situation because the B-17 bombers are pretty tough. It takes 10 hit points to take one of these down, unless it's a catastrophic result, which doesn't seem to happen with all that frequently in the games I've played thus far. And admittedly, that's just 2 games. So anyway, not only that, but I did lose a fighter pilot who was an ex-Spartan with Bauer because of this greenhorn, Johann, who decided that he had to get in and attack and crashed into the both of them. So that was not a cool situation. But there's definitely a story here that you can weave by playing this game. So it's definitely got that story element going in for it. So it's interesting. So if anything happens in my next game of consequence or particularly interesting, like in this particular outing, I'll post another video. If not, I'll just continue to play along. And if something happens interesting at a later date, then maybe I'll do another video. But this game's pretty cool. And if you like air war games at all, or B-17 Queen of the Skies by Avalon Hill, this is sort of the opposite of that. So you might want to check it out. Anyway, thanks for letting me check in. And if you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe. Alright, take it easy. This has been Blastpop. Bye.